Imagine a world where everything you needed was made by hand, often in your own home or by a local artisan. Now, imagine that world being replaced by one of machines, factories, and bustling cities. This is the story of America's great transformation, the market revolution, a period that fundamentally changed how Americans lived, worked, and connected. Welcome to APUSH Period 4. We will explore the era from 1800 to 1848, a time of immense economic, social, and political change in the United States. This chapter will examine how new technologies and transportation networks fueled the market revolution, reshaping the nation from a collection of agrarian communities into an interconnected, industrializing society. At the start of this period, Thomas Jefferson's vision for America dominated. He championed a nation of independent, self-sufficient farmers, a virtuous agrarian republic. His presidency, from 1801 to 1809, sought to limit federal power, reduce the national debt, and promote an economy based on agriculture, not industry. The War of 1812 served as an unexpected catalyst. The British naval blockade cut off American access to manufactured goods, forcing the young nation to develop its own industries. This economic isolation sparked a wave of domestic manufacturing, laying the groundwork for the industrial future Jefferson had once opposed. After the war, Congressman Henry Clay proposed his American system. This three-part plan aimed to unite the nation economically through a new national bank, protective tariffs to support American industry, and a network of internal improvements like roads and canals to connect the country. The first great engine of the market revolution was the transportation revolution. Before this, moving goods was slow and expensive. New innovations would connect the fragmented nation, enabling raw materials to reach factories and finished goods to reach consumers across vast distances. The Erie Canal, completed in 1825, was a marvel of engineering. It linked the Great Lakes to the Atlantic Ocean, dramatically lowering transportation costs and transforming New York into America's leading port. It exemplified how government investment in infrastructure could create new economic arteries. Steamboats, pioneered by Robert Fulton, made river travel faster and more reliable. Soon, railroads emerged, offering even greater speed and flexibility. These new technologies shattered geographic barriers, allowing goods and people to move at unprecedented speeds, further accelerating the market economy. The revolution in transportation was matched by a revolution in manufacturing. The factory system, where all production steps were brought under one roof, replaced traditional artisanal work. This system increased efficiency, but also created a new class of wage laborers who were no longer their own masters. The Lowell system in Massachusetts was a unique experiment. Young single women from rural farms were recruited to work in textile mills. They lived in company-owned boarding houses and were subject to strict moral supervision. While offering independence for a time, the system also showcased the difficult conditions of factory labor. The market revolution widened the economic and cultural divide between the North and South. The North embraced manufacturing, technology, and free labor. The South, meanwhile, doubled down on its agrarian economy, fueled by the booming cotton industry and the expansion of chattel slavery. The invention of the cotton gin by Eli Whitney in 1793 had a profound and terrible effect. It made separating cotton fiber from its seeds much faster, revitalizing the demand for enslaved labor. King Cotton became the engine of the Southern economy and entrenched the institution of slavery. The rise of industrialization and the market economy fueled new political dynamics. The election of Andrew Jackson in 1828 ushered in the Jacksonian era, a time of common man democracy. He championed the interests of the farmers and laborers who felt left behind by the new industrial elite. Jackson's presidency was not without major conflicts. The nullification crisis of 1832 saw South Carolina, led by John C. Calhoun, declare a federal tariff null and void. This event brought the nation to the brink of civil war and highlighted the growing sectional tensions over states' rights and economic policy. Amidst all this change, a religious revival swept the nation. The Second Great Awakening emphasized individual salvation and personal responsibility. This religious fervor inspired a new wave of social reforms, urging Americans to perfect society and address its ills. Fueled by the Second Great Awakening, social reformers began to tackle society's problems. The temperance movement sought to ban alcohol, while the abolition movement worked to end slavery. These crusades were often intertwined, as reformers saw both as moral evils undermining the nation. The reform movements provided women with new public roles. Many, having organized for temperance and abolition, began to question their own lack of political and legal rights. The women's rights movement was born from this realization, seeking suffrage and other fundamental rights. As a response to the rapid pace of industrialization, a philosophical and literary movement known as Transcendentalism emerged. Thinkers like Ralph Waldo Emerson and Henry David Thoreau stressed individualism, self-reliance, and a connection with nature, challenging the materialistic values of the new market economy. The Supreme Court, under Chief Justice John Marshall, played a crucial role in strengthening the federal government's authority and supporting the market economy. Landmark cases like McCulloch v. Maryland, 1819, affirmed federal supremacy over states, creating a more stable environment for commerce. In foreign policy, the United States asserted its growing power. The Monroe Doctrine of 1823 warned European powers not to interfere in the affairs of the Western Hemisphere. It established America's regional dominance and laid the groundwork for future expansion. While the nation expanded, the issue of slavery threatened to tear it apart. The Missouri Compromise of 1820 temporarily resolved the dispute by admitting Missouri as a slave state and Maine as a free state. It also prohibited slavery in the Louisiana Territory north of the 36 degrees 30 feet parallel. The desire for new land, especially for cotton cultivation, led to a brutal policy against Native Americans. The Indian Removal Act of 1830 forced Native American tribes, including the Cherokee, out of their ancestral lands in the southeast and relocated them west of the Mississippi River. The forced removal resulted in the Trail of Tears, a devastating journey that led to the deaths of thousands of Native Americans. This tragic event represents a dark chapter of American expansion and shows the human cost of the era's economic and political ambitions. The era's economic changes were intertwined with a new sense of national identity. The belief in manifest destiny, that the United States was divinely ordained to expand across the North American continent, fueled relentless westward expansion, leading to territorial acquisitions and conflicts. As factories grew, so did cities. Urban centers like New York, Boston, and Philadelphia became magnets for people seeking work. This rapid urbanization created new opportunities, but also significant social problems, including poverty, sanitation issues, and overcrowding. The market revolution also spurred a massive wave of immigration, particularly from Ireland and Germany. Fleeing famine and political unrest, these new arrivals provided a cheap labor force for factories and infrastructure projects, but also faced discrimination and prejudice from native-born Americans. With the factory system came a new social class, the working class. Unlike independent artisans, these wage earners had little control over their work conditions or hours. This led to early labor movements and the formation of the first trade unions to advocate for better wages and shorter workdays. By the end of Period 4 in 1848, the United States was a dramatically different nation. A stable agrarian republic had transformed into a dynamic, market-driven economy with a growing industrial sector. The foundation for America's rise as a global economic power was now firmly in place. The market revolution was a period of profound change, driven by new transportation and factory systems. It led to the rise of a new social order, spurred major political conflicts over states' rights and slavery, and fueled a wave of social and religious reform movements that aimed to perfect American society. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the market revolution. We hope this documentary has helped you understand this pivotal period in American history. For more in-depth educational content, please subscribe to our channel and consider supporting us on Patreon to help us create more videos like this.